Welcome, dreamer. Tonight, you're invited on a long and gentle journey, one that will carry you far beyond the edges of the waking world. If this peaceful story brings you calm, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There are more dreams waiting just like this one. Now, take a deep breath, let the day fall away, and come drift among the stars. Let me tell you the story of a little star named Luma. Far beyond the clouds, in the quiet velvet of space, a small star stirred. She wasn't like the others. While most stars burned bright in place, Luma felt a longing. She looked down at Earth so full of dreams and stories and soft shadows. And one night, she whispered to the universe, "I want to see what dreams are made of." And the universe, in its deep understanding, let her go. She fell not like a meteor, but like a feather drifting gently through layers of air, through wind and song and cloud. She passed a boy making a wish at his window. She passed a field where crickets sang her a welcome. She passed through the hush of midnight and into the soft cradle of a sleeping forest. There, she landed quiet as a scion, a patch of moss beside a still pond. Luma had fallen, but not broken. She was glowing still, a soft warmth in the cool night. And she was ready to begin her journey. As the leaves rustled above her and frogs sang again, Luma drifted forward into the forest's heart. The forest didn't wake all at once. It listened first. Trees tilted their heads. Moss thickened beneath Luma's glow. A fox peeked from its burrow, blinking at the starlight standing still. Luma floated forward slowly, as if learning how to move in this strange place. The forest wasn't dark not to her. It shimmered with slow light, dewdrops, fireflies, the soft pulse of life. And then, a voice. "Little light," it said, "why have you come?" Luma turned. An owl perched in an ancient birch, its feathers streaked with silver, its eyes moon deep. "I want to understand dreams," Luma said. The owl nodded and scattered a few feathers to the wind. "You'll need to pass through places that have forgotten how to sleep, and those that sleep too much." He looked east. "There is a river that remembers. It will carry you further." Luma thanked the owl and drifted on under archways of branches, past a squirrel murmuring in its sleep, past a tree that whispered names of those long gone. She came to a pond where a girl once lost her tears, and Luma hovered there, warming the water, as if saying, "You're not alone anymore." For the first time in years, the pond reflected stars again. By the edge of the forest, the air changed, thicker, sleepier, still. She was nearing a place where time had forgotten to move. And so, with her soft light steady, Luma drifted on toward a town caught in eternal slumber. The rooftops were still, the chimneys cold, the streets wrapped in fog like folded linen. Velden Hollow, the sign read, a town where clocks had lost their hands and people had stopped looking at the sky. Luma floated gently through the misty square. Her light made the fog blush gold. No one stirred, but the houses remembered. The cafe with its empty chairs, the clock tower whose tick had faded, a shop that once sold dream catchers and now caught only dust. She stopped at a house where a boy once waited at the window. He wasn't there now, but the window still was, and Luma hovered there, her glow pressing softly against the glass. Inside, a dream began to breathe again. She continued to the library, quiet, heavy with memory. Its shelves didn't hold books, but whispers. Of girls who wrote poetry in the margins. Of fathers who fell asleep mid-sentence while reading aloud. She floated between the aisles, and as she passed, the stories blinked open. And in the attic, a cracked mirror. In it, Luma saw not just herself, but everyone she'd touched. The fox, the owl, the pond, the girl, the boy at the window. She wasn't just wandering, she was helping things remember. And as the first bird sang softly at dawn, and a clock somewhere dared to tick again, Luma rose above the rooftops and drifted forward toward the next place that needed her light. Beyond Velden Hollow, the path narrowed, the air hung heavy, and the fog thickened like memory. It wasn't dark. Luma still glowed, but everything felt muffled, hushed, expectant. Lanterns began to appear, floating low to the ground. Their flames didn't flicker. They pulsed slow and steady like breathing. Luma drifted closer. One lantern passed beside her and whispered, not in words, but in warmth, a familiar presence. This place was filled with things that once guided, lights left behind by those who had moved on, yet whose dreams remained. A sign emerged from the fog, the lantern walkway. No footsteps marked the ground, only light. As Luma followed the floating lanterns, each one revealed a memory. A father waiting by the window for his daughter to return. A painter who worked by candlelight long after the world had fallen asleep. A nurse who left a lamp in every room so no dream would be lost in the dark. The fog swirled around Luma, but never touched her. Her light and theirs danced soft echoes meeting at last. And then she came upon a broken lantern, and its glow gone, its shell cracked. Luma hovered beside it. She dimmed herself gently and gave part of her light. The lantern flickered, then glowed again. Not as bright, but steady. And from the fog, a voice, barely a breath, "Thank you." The fog began to clear, slowly, like a curtain lifting after a long night. Ahead, a new path, grassy, to open, and on the horizon, water. A river shimmered like silk under starlight, wide, calm, endless. Luma floated toward it, for she had found the place the owl spoke of, the river that remembers. The river stretched before her, wide and silver, its surface smooth as sleep. It didn't rush or roar. It moved like a lullaby, slow, deep, timeless. Luma hovered at its edge. Her light kissed the water, and the water responded. A soft ripple shimmered outward, not just from her glow, but from recognition. This river remembered, not events, but feelings. Not names, but dreams. She drifted forward. The current didn't pull, Harriet welcomed her, like an old friend whose silence said more than words ever could. Beneath the surface, Luma glimpsed visions. A child floating paper boats with hopes written inside. An old man letting go of sorrow as he watched the water carry it away. A girl singing softly to herself, the tune carried by the current long after she was gone. The river did not judge. It held everything, joy and regret, wishes and wonder. Where does it go? Luma whispered. A heron glided overhead, circling once before landing beside her. Its feathers were cloud gray, its eyes kind and distant. To the place where endings and beginnings touch, it said. A bend in the world where stories rest before they become dreams again. Luma floated alongside the heron. The river grew wider and deeper, not in shape, but in feeling. She could feel it now. This was not just water. It was time, memory, love. It held the weight of every goodbye and the hope of every new hello. On one bank, a willow tree leaned low over the surface. Its branches trailed the water like fingers remembering a lost song. Luma paused beneath it. The willow whispered not in speech, but in rustling leaves. A lullaby someone had once sung while rocking a baby to sleep. The sound circled her gently, and she glowed just a little brighter. The heron lifted off again, its wings brushing the air like a final word. Luma followed. The river began to narrow now, its memories more recent, more fragile, and ahead, something shimmered. Not water, not sky, a gate, woven of mist and starlight. Luma drifted toward it, for even rivers must lead somewhere, and some gates only open for those who carry light. The gate stood still, made of mist and memory. It shimmered like something half remembered, half dreamed. No hinges, no handles, just light and longing. Luma floated closer. The air around it felt different. Not colder, not warmer, just quieter. Like a room where someone had just finished a song and the silence still held its shape. She paused before it, not from fear, but respect. The river slowed behind her, not ending, but bowing. The gate pulsed once, twice. Then, without a sound, it opened. Not with a creak, not with a swing, but like a memory surfacing after years asleep. On the other side, a landscape unlike any she had seen. Wide open skies, rolling fields of silver grass that swayed with no wind, and hills that curved like the backs of sleeping giants. This was the place the heron had spoken of, where endings touched beginnings. Luma crossed through. Her glow dimmed slightly, not fading, but softening. For here, light did not need to prove itself. It simply was. She drifted over the grass, and wherever she passed, the blades shimmered, tiny flecks of dream rising from their tips like morning mist. A stone lay in the center of the field, not large, but ancient. She settled beside it, etched into its surface were the words, "Rest, then rise." Luma closed her glow for a moment and listened. All around her, echoes stirred. Children's laughter. A lullaby hummed beneath breath, the soft sigh of someone finally letting go. These were not ghosts. They were wishes that had found peace. The sky began to change, not darkening, not brightening, but deepening. Colors moved like slow water, blues into violets, silver into quiet gold. And in that shifting sky, she saw others, lights like hers, moving gently, slowly, Some had just arrived. Others were just beginning to glow again. They passed each other, not speaking, but knowing this was not the end of Luma's journey. Only a pause, a breath between stories. She closed her eyes. If stars could sleep, this would be the place. And from the sky, a whisper, dreams don't end, they simply return. When Luma opened her glow again, the sky above her had shifted. A deeper hue now, brushed with rose and dusk. The field behind her faded like the last page of a dream. Ahead, a path of cobblestones appeared, each stone warmed beneath her light, as if someone had walked this way long ago, and the ground had never forgotten. She followed it quietly, past a fence of wind chimes that played no song, past a bench where a pair of boots waited patiently. Then she saw it, a garden hidden behind old iron gates, rusted but proud. And in its center, a small cottage with clocks in every window, none ticking. Luma passed through the gate. The garden welcomed her with stillness. Rows of flowers bloomed without sound. Sunflowers that turned their faces not to the sun but to memory. Roses whose petals held whispers. The clocks were everywhere, dangling from trees, nestled in flower beds, hung like lanterns along the path. And then the door opened. Out stepped an old man. His beard flowed like moss. His hands were stained with time, not in years but in stories. He didn't blink when he saw Luma. He simply smiled, as if he'd been waiting. "You've brought starlight to a garden that forgot how to count," he said. Luma hovered gently. "I followed the river," she replied, "and it led you here." "Of course it did." He turned slowly, gesturing her in. Inside the cottage, the walls were lined with clocks. Some ticked backward. Some refused to tick at all. "They stopped when I stopped looking up," he said quietly. "I used to listen to the sky. Then I started counting instead." Luma floated near a small pocket watch. It had no hands, just stars painted where numbers should be. "I built that on a night I dreamed of space," the man whispered. "But dreams don't belong on shelves." He looked at her now, his eyes glassy but clear. "Would you help me remember?" Luma drifted closer. Her glow touched the pocket watch, and softly, slowly, it began to hum. Not tick, but sing. A lullaby of time that didn't passively circled. The clocks around the room shimmered. Some began to glow faintly. Not waking, not working, but breathing. Outside, the wind picked up. The chimes on the fence whispered again. The garden began to shift. Time here did not move forward. It bloomed. The old man stood in the doorway, his shadow long but light. "Thank you," he said. "Some things are meant to pause, but not stay frozen." Luma nodded, and as the garden lit softly behind her, she rose once more into the sky. Ahead, a strange flicker in the dark. Not fire, not lightning, but something restless and waiting. The sky ahead was darker now. Not night, but something older, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. Luma floated slowly, her glow flickering slightly. not from fear, but from knowing something waited. The wind met her first, not sharp, not cold, but full of voices. Remember me. I wished for wings. I just wanted to be seen. The air shimmered with thousands of wishes, not lost, just left behind. They spun through the sky like leaves caught in a storm, not angry, just urgent. And at the heart of it all, a great whirl of light and shadow, twisting above a lonely hill. Luma drew closer. This was no ordinary storm. It pulsed with hope and heartbreak alike. Each flash, a wish that had never been heard. A boy who once wished to play in the rain without fear. A girl who wished her voice could echo across mountains. An old man who wished to dance one last time. Their wishes had floated upward, but never found a listener. Until now, Luma hovered at the edge of the storm, her glow stretched thin by the swirling wind. But she did not turn back. Instead, she whispered, "I hear you." The storm paused, not stopped, but softened, like a child who realizes they are not alone. And slowly, Luma began to spin, not out of control, but in rhythm, with the wind, with the wishes, with the sky itself. She moved through the storm like a dancer through memory, touching each streak of forgotten light. One by one, wherever she passed, the storm quieted. Not gone, but calmed. She found the wish of a mother who missed her child and wrapped it in soft warmth. She found the wish of a lonely musician and let it hum quietly through the wind. She found the wish of a child who never learned to dream and gave it a spark. By the time she reached the heart of the storm, it was no longer spinning. It was listening. A single star hung at its center, dim, almost gone. Luma touched it gently. It pulsed once, then again, and finally, it glowed. A forgotten wish, remembered. The clouds drifted apart like curtains opening on a dawn. The wind became breath, and the sky above settled into soft quiet. Luma rose slowly, her glow steady again, carrying with her the light of every voice she had heard. Ahead, a bridge of light began to form, delicate, shimmering, leading her somewhere higher still. But behind her, a whisper followed, "Thank you." The storm had faded behind her, but its voices still shimmered in the air. Luma hovered quietly at the edge of a vast emptiness. Not dark, just wide, like a breath that hadn't been exhaled yet. Stretching before her, a bridge of soft light arched across the sky, fragile looking, but pulsing with quiet strength. She floated forward, each step not a sound, but an echo, not of her, but of everything she had touched. The owl in the birch, the fox beneath the ferns, the girl who lost her tears, the clocks in the garden, the voices in the storm, they echoed back gently, not calling her, but walking beside her. This bridge did not carry her over something. It carried her through memories not her own, through songs that had been hummed once and never again, through footsteps that had never been noticed. A lullaby drifted by on the wind, wordless but full of meaning. Luma paused, and from below the bridge, shapes began to rise. Not people, not ghosts, just moments. A father lifting a child toward the stars. A grandmother brushing hair in a sunlit kitchen. A dancer spinning alone in an empty room. They rose like soft reflections in morning mist. And as Luma passed each one, she gave a flicker of light, and they faded, not erased, but at peace. The bridge narrowed ahead, but glowed brighter. There, in the center, a tall figure waited, formed not of bone or breath, but of stories. Its robe shimmered with dreams. Its eyes held the calm of oceans. "You've come far," it said, voice like twilight on still water. Luma floated gently before it. "I wanted to understand dreams." The figure nodded. "And what have you learned?" Luma paused. Her glow pulsed. That they don't disappear when forgotten. They wait. They whisper. They remember. The figure smiled. And for a moment, the stars above leaned closer. "You carry not just light, but listening," it said. "Not just warmth, but memory." It raised one long hand, and in it, a single thread of silver light. A gift, it said, the thread between stars and sleepers. Luma accepted it, and the bridge behind her glowed in reply. She turned to look, and saw not distance, but connection. Every place she'd passed, still glowing, still dreaming. The figure stepped aside. "Beyond this bridge," it said, "lies the place where dreams are born." Luma looked ahead, into a sky that shimmered with stories not yet told. And with a gentle breath, she drifted forward. Toward the beginning, the bridge faded behind her. Not vanished, just no longer needed. Luma floated forward, into a space not empty, but waiting. There were no stars here, no trees or towns, only possibility. A quiet breath hung in the air, like the world was about to speak. And then it did, but not in words. In color, in feeling, in dreams. They bloomed around her, soft as petals, bright as hope. A dream of flying with wings made of laughter. A dream of swimming in oceans lit from below. A dream of finding home, not a place, but a feeling. Luma floated among them, her glow pulsing gently. And everywhere she touched, a dream took shape. Some small, a child hugging a stuffed bear. Some vast, a mountain rising from memory. Some quiet, a hand held through tears. All of them beautiful. This was not a place to end. It was where everything began. The birthplace of dreams. Where stars first learned to listen. Where night learned to soothe. Where sleep became sacred. Luma moved slowly. Not out of caution, but reverence. She wasn't just seeing dreams now. She was part of them. A guardian, a gentle light that would carry them to those who needed them. To the girl crying softly into her pillow. To the boy lost in worry, too big for his age. To the parent who forgets how to rest. To the hearts that have forgotten how to hope. Luma would find them, drift through their windows, curl beside them in the quiet. She would whisper, not with words, but with presence, and they would sleep, not to escape, but to remember that they were loved, that they were seen, that their dreams still mattered. The space around her shimmered softly, and from far below, the earth turned slowly in its sleep. Windows glowed, hearts exhaled, dreams took flight. Luma rose gently, not fading, but spreading into 1,000 sparks, 1,000 lights, 1,000 new stories. And as night wrapped the world in silence, a whisper echoed in the dark, "Sleep well, little dreamer."